I found the first camera on my third day with the Morgans, tucked behind a decorative plant in the living room. At first, I thought it was normal. Lots of wealthy families had nanny cams. What wasn't normal was finding 8 more throughout the house, including one in my bedroom pointed directly at my bed. The job had seemed perfect. Live-in babysitter for 5-year-old boy, generous salary, private room. The AD had read. After 6 months of struggling to find work, I'd jumped at the opportunity. Claire Morgan had interviewed me at a coffee shop, not at the house for privacy, she'd explained. She was polished, professional, with a smile that never quite reached her eyes. Ethan is a sensitive child, she'd said. He requires structure, routine, consistency. Can you provide that? I'd nodded eagerly. The salary was twice what I'd made anywhere else. One more thing, we have security cameras throughout the house. For Ethan's safety. You'll be monitored. If that's a problem, this position isn't for you. I'd signed the contract that afternoon, barely reading the 3 pages of NDA clauses that gave them permission to monitor employee conduct through surveillance. The Morgan house was a modern mansion in the Connecticut suburbs, all glass and steel, and carefully curated perfection. Claire's husband Richard was rarely home, always traveling for business. Ethan was small and quiet, with dark hair and watchful eyes that seemed too old for 5. He didn't play loudly or run or laugh the way most kids did. He sat perfectly still during meals, spoke in whispers, and startled at sudden movements. He's naturally anxious, Claire explained when I mentioned it. But what I saw in Ethan's eyes when his mother entered a room wasn't anxiety, it was fear. The cameras were everywhere: living room, kitchen, playroom, hallway. 2 in Ethan's room, from different angles. 1 in the bathroom, which I was pretty sure was illegal, and 1 in my bedroom, watching me sleep. That night, lying in bed, staring at that lens, I pulled out my phone and searched. How many surveillance cameras is too many? Is it legal to record nanny in bedroom? Signs of surveillance abuse. The results were disturbing. Stories of families recording nannies undressing, selling footage to voyeur sites, using surveillance as control. I was about to text my friend Maya when I remembered the NDA couldn't discuss the family's security measures without risking a lawsuit. I turned off the light and lay in darkness, feeling that camera's eye on me. That's when I heard a soft mechanical hum from somewhere below, like servers running. It was coming from what I'd thought was just a basement storage area. Claire's rules for Ethan were extensive and rigid. Wake at 7. Breakfast oatmeal with exactly measured fruit. No sugar, no processed foods, no stimulating activities. Educational worksheets from 9 to 11. Lunch at noon from pre-labeled containers. Quiet time from 1 to 3D ring, which Ethan had to sit in his room, awake, doing nothing. He needs to learn self-regulation, Claire explained coldly. Not every moment requires stimulation. What 5-year-old sits alone for 2 hours doing nothing? But I needed this job. Outdoor time was limited to 30 minutes maximum, only in the fenced backyard, never where neighbors might see. No play dates, no parks, no other children. Ethan's immune system is delicate, Claire said, but Ethan didn't seem sick, he seemed isolated. On my 5th day, during Ethan's quiet time, I decided to explore the basement. The door was in the kitchen, unmarked. I'd assumed it was locked. Like everything else, Claire kept the study locked, the master bedroom locked, even closets locked, but this door opened easily. The basement had been converted into something between a command center and a server room. One wall was covered in monitorsite screens, showing live feeds from the cameras I'd found, plus others. I counted 15 total angles, capturing every corner of the house. Industrial hard drives lined the walls, cables everywhere. A laptop showed files organized by date and location. Ethan_bedroom _10.22, Ethan_playroom _10.23, employee_bedroom _10.22. Double quotes. Years of footage, terabytes of surveillance data. Then, I saw a separate monitor, disconnected from the main system. Next to it, an external hard drive labeled in handwriting, "Backup do, not delete." My hands shook as I connected it. The screen showed folders dating back for years. I clicked the oldest one. The footage showed a different house and a toddler, maybe 2 years old, playing in a living room. He had dark hair like Ethan, similar features, but he was laughing, moving, acting normal. A woman's voice off camera spoke warmly, in what sounded like Portuguese. The camera angle was wrong for surveillance. This was someone filming their child lovingly family videos, not security footage. I clicked another file. 2 days later, the same house, but chaos, furniture knocked over, the camera askew, pointed at the floor, screaming, a woman crying, a child wailing. Then it cut out. The next file was dated a week later. A car interior at night. The toddler was in a car seat, crying, and I could see Claire's profile in the driver's seat. Her voice, tense. It's okay. You're safe now. I'm your mama now. But the child kept crying, calling mamine, mamine, and Claire's hands tightened on the wheel until her knuckles went white. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I clicked forward, the toddler in this house, Claire trying to comfort him while he screamed. Days of footage showing the child traumatized and withdrawn. Then Claire cutting his hair differently, changing his clothes, coaching him. Your name is Ethan. Say it, Ethan. Your mama is Claire. Say it. The child shaking his head, confused and terrified. I heard footsteps above. Claire was home early. I quickly disconnected the drive, shoved it back, and scrambled upstairs. Claire stood at the top, blocking the doorway. What were you doing down there? She asked quietly. I heard a noise. I stammered. I thought maybe a pipe leak. That area is off limits. Her voice was perfectly calm, which was somehow more terrifying than anger. I thought I made that clear. You said the study was off limits. You didn't mention. I said certain areas are private. She studied me for a long moment. What did you see? Nothing, just equipment, computers. I didn't touch anything. She smiled, that empty smile. Good. Those are Richard's work servers. Very sensitive data. You're never to go down there again. Never to touch that equipment. Never to discuss what you saw that's covered in your NDA. Understand? Yes, Mrs. Morgan. That night I lay in bed staring at the camera, my mind racing. I pulled out my phone and typed, I think the family I work for kidnapped their son. My thumb hovered over send. If I was wrong, I'd be fired and sued. If I was right but reported it now with no proof, would anyone believe me? Would police get a warrant before Claire destroyed evidence? I deleted the message and searched instead, how to report suspected child abduction. I needed real proof. Something undeniable. I needed to get back into that basement and copy those files. Clue number 1 came the next morning during breakfast. Ethan pointed to a shelf above the refrigerator where a worn stuffed elephant sat, faded and loved. I want Dumbo, he said softly. Your elephant. He's right there on your toy shelf. No, that's not my Dumbo. I want my real Dumbo. His eyes filled with tears. Mama says I can't have him. She says he's dirty, but I miss him. I looked at the elephant again. It was clearly well used with patched fabric and worn spots. It didn't match the pristine, educational toys in Ethan's room. Why is he up there if he's yours? Mama took him when we moved. She said I needed new things now, but I don't want new things. His voice dropped to a whisper. He smells like before. What do you remember from before, sweetie? Ethan's face went still, the way it did when Claire was near. Mama says I don't remember before, but I do remember. I remember Vovo, and I remember my old mama, and I remember. He stopped, eyes darting to the camera in the corner. I'm not supposed to talk about that. It's okay. Mama gets mad when I talk about that. She says those are bad dreams. But dreams don't feel warm, like Vovo as hugs. He pushed his oatmeal around. Dreams don't smell real. Later, when Ethan was having quiet time, I stood on a chair and examined the elephant. Inside a small tear was a tag Fabricado no Brasil, made in Brazil, written in faded marker para Miguel, Cormor, Vovô for Miguel, with love, Grandma, not Ethan, Miguel. I photographed the tag, then carefully replaced the elephant exactly where it had been. That night, I waited until midnight before climbing out my bedroom window onto the porch roof, then down the trellis. I'd unlocked a kitchen window earlier. I slid through and headed for the basement. The monitors were in sleep mode. I found the external drive, powered up the separate monitor, and started copying files to my USB drive. The oldest footage from that other house, the car ride with Claire, the transformation from Miguel to Ethan. The files were large. The transfer crawled forward 10%, 25%, 40%, 40% while my heart hammered. A sound above. Footsteps. Someone was awake. 52%. Come on. The footsteps moved through the house. A door opened. 67%. A voice. Richard's Claire. She's not in her room. Shit. I yanked the USB at 79%, shoved the external drive back, powered everything down. The basement stairs were the only exit. I looked frantically for another way out there, a small window near the ceiling. I dragged a chair over and squeezed through the tiny window, scraping my shoulders, dropping onto cold ground just as the basement lights flickered on. I ran around back, up the trellis, through my window. I'd barely closed it when pounding hit my door. "Kristen, open up." I messed my bed, opened the door looking sleepy and confused. "What's wrong?" Claire and Richard stood there, furious. "Where were you?" "Sleeping. You woke me. You weren't in bed 5 minutes ago." "I was in the bathroom. Stomach issues." I looked embarrassed. "I've been sick all night." They exchanged looks. Richard checked my bathroom, found nothing. "Someone accessed the basement computers," Richard said. "It wasn't me. Check the cameras, they'll show I didn't leave my room." Another look between them, fear mixed with suspicion. "Get some rest," Claire said finally. "We'll discuss this tomorrow." I checked my phone after they left. The USB in my pocket had 79% of the evidence. It would have to be enough. Morning came too fast. When Claire knocked at 7, her voice was calm, almost friendly. "Feeling better, Kristen?" "A little good. Just supervise Ethan's quiet time today. Richard and I have errands. We'll be back by dinner." They were leaving me alone with Ethan after last night. That didn't make sense unless they were planning something. I watched them drive away, then went to Ethan's room. He was sitting on his bed with that eerie stillness. "Ethan Miguel, I need to ask you something." He flinched at the name. "I'm not supposed to be Miguel anymore. But that's who you really are, isn't it? And Claire isn't your real mama." Tears spilled down his face. "I'm not supposed to say. Bad things happen when I say what kind of bad things. Mama gets mad. She says if I tell anyone about before, she'll send me away forever. She says people won't believe me anyway." He hugged himself. "But I'm not crazy. I remember Mammy. I remember Vovo. I remember my real house with the blue door. I remember Mammy singing to me. I remember when the bad people came." "What bad people?" "I don't know. I was little. There was yelling and Mammy was scared, and then Claire took me in her car. She said Mammy couldn't take care of me anymore." He looked up with huge brown eyes. "But I didn't want a new mama. I wanted my mama." I pulled him into a hug. "We're going to find your real mama. I promise." Clue number 2 was in the kitchen. The refrigerator, usually stocked with a week of Claire's pre-prepared meals, was almost empty, just one container left. No meals for tomorrow, no meals for next week. Claire always prepared everything meticulously. She wouldn't just forget, unless she wasn't planning for a tomorrow here. I checked the pantry, almost empty. Cupboard same. They were leaving soon. Maybe today. I ran to Ethan's room. "Has Claire said anything about a trip?" He looked scared. "She said maybe we'd go to the beach soon. She said we might stay there a long time. She asked what toy I wanted to bring." He pointed to a small backpack in the corner. "She said only one. She said we might leave today." I pulled out my phone and finally sent the message I should have sent days ago. "Maya, I need help. The family I work for kidnapped their son. I have evidence. They might run today. What do I do?" The response: "Call the police." Now I'd barely dialed 911 when I heard a car. They were back hours early. I hung up, shoved my phone away. "Ethan, stay here. Lock your door. Don't open it for anyone but me, okay?" I closed his door, heard the lock click, then went downstairs. Claire and Richard waited in the living room with a man I didn't recognize, older, hard-faced, dangerous-looking. "Kristen, this is Mr. Shaw, a security consultant," Claire said calmly. "We know you accessed restricted files last night. We know Richard held up a USB drive, not mine, that you've been stealing proprietary data. That's not you were recorded entering the basement. Motion sensors logged the file access." Claire stepped closer. "This is breach of contract, violation of your NDA. It's potentially criminal industrial espionage, corporate theft." "I know what you did," I said. "I know Ethan isn't your son. I know you took him from his real family. I saw the videos. You saw old home movies from when we lived abroad." Claire cut in smoothly. "Videos of our son when he was younger. We had a nanny who spoke Portuguese. Is that suspicious? His name isn't Ethan, it's Miguel. The elephant says so para Miguel. Com amor, vovó." Claire laughed. "A second-hand toy with a name on it? That's your evidence." I realized how carefully they'd constructed this. Every piece could be explained away. The videos could be home movies. The toy could be used. Miguel's memories could be dismissed as confusion. Mr. Shaw is here to escort you off the property, Richard said. You have 1 hour to pack. You'll return that USB drive, sign additional NDAs, and never contact us again. If you do, we'll pursue legal action for theft and defamation. And if I go to the police, then you'll be arrested for breaking and entering and making false accusations. Claire showed me her phone, a police report already filed describing a troubled employee making false claims to cover attempted blackmail. We filed this morning. Officers expect your call. They know you're unstable. They'd thought of everything. I handed over the drive. David smiled. Pack your things. 55 minutes. I went to my room, the hard-faced Shaw watching my door. I packed mechanically, mind racing for any way out. My phone buzzed. Texts from a blocked number. Police received anonymous tip about abduction, at your address. Units en route. Play along. Maya had called them anyway. 2 minutes later, sirens. Police arrived in 3 cars. Claire opened the door with a confused smile. Officers, is there a problem? We received a report about a possible child abduction. The lead officer said, a woman with sharp eyes. We need to speak with the child. That's absurd. Our son is upstairs. This is clearly a vindictive employee making false reports. We were just pressing charges for attempted blackmail. Ma'am, we still need to see the child. Of course. Ethan, come here please. Nothing. Ethan. I'll get him, I said, running upstairs before anyone could stop me. I knocked on his door. Ethan, it's Kristen. You can open up now. The lock clicked. He stood there holding Dumbo, tiny and terrified. Are the police here for me? Because I told no, sweetie. They're here to help. But you need to be brave and tell them the truth. Your real name, about your real mama, everything you remember. Rachel said bad things would happen. She was lying. The truth is the only thing that can help. I took his hand. I'll be right with you. We walked downstairs together. The officer knelt. Hi there. I'm Officer Santos. What's your name? Ethan looked at Claire, at Richard, at me. He was shaking. Tell the truth, I whispered. My name is Miguel, he said in a voice barely audible. Miguel Santos. And that's not my mama. My real mama's name is Carolina. And I want to go home. Claire laughed. Officers, our nanny has been coaching our daughter, filling her head with nonsense. We have birth certificates, medical records. We'd like to see those documents, Santos said. And we'll need to fingerprint the child. This is outrageous, ma'am. If this is your son, fingerprinting will clear it up quickly. If he's in the system as missing, it'll show immediately. Unless you'd prefer we get a warrant. Claire's face tightened. Fine, but I'm calling our lawyer. They fingerprinted Miguel right there, the little boy holding still and brave. The wait felt endless. Then Officer Santos's radio crackled. Her expression shifted to shock. Miguel Santos, she said slowly. Abducted from his home in Newark, New Jersey, 4 years ago. Mother Carolina Santos filed a missing persons report. Case still open. Santos turned to Claire and Richard, hand moving to her weapon. You're under arrest for kidnapping and child endangerment. Everything happened fast. More police, detectives, FBI agents, crime scene techs swarming the house, especially the basement. Claire screamed about lawyers. Richard went silent. But Miguel's fingerprints didn't lie. And the video footage which I'd backed up to cloud storage before handing over the USB didn't lie either. The FBI found everything on that external drive. Footage showing Claire stalking Carolina for months, learning her schedule, waiting for her moment, the break-in, the drugged toddler, the fake documents, years of surveillance documenting Miguel's forced transformation. But then came clue number 3, the one that revealed the full horror. An FBI agent showed me footage dated 2 months ago. Claire and Richard talking with Shaw off camera. Can't keep doing this, Richard was saying. Every few years, starting over, it's necessary. Claire cut in. Ethan's getting older, starting to remember. We need to move before he figures out he's the third. Miguel was the 3rd child. Are there others? I asked, my voice hollow. The agent nodded grimly. We found evidence of at least 2 other abductions over the past decade. Rachel has a pattern. She takes children, keeps them until they develop personalities she can't control, then replaces them. We're still searching for the earlier victims. I thought I might be sick. Miguel wasn't stolen to keep, he was borrowed until he became inconvenient. Carolina Santos arrived at midnight, having driven straight from Newark. A woman burst through the police station doors, dark hair, wild, eyes red, moving with desperate speed. "Where's my baby?" She pushed past officers, following a child's voice. Then she was in the doorway where Miguel sat with an advocate, still holding Dumbo. Time stopped. "Me." Miguel's voice was tiny, uncertain. "Is it really you?" Carolina made a sound between sob and prayer. "Mil amor. Seem so ill. My love. Yes, it's me." She knelt, and Miguel launched into her arms, both crying, Carolina kissing his face over and over, murmuring apologies and endearments and promises in Portuguese. I watched from the hallway, tears streaming down my face, as this mother held her stolen child. Later, Carolina found me. "You're Kristen, the babysitter." "Yes." She grabbed my hands, gripped fierce. "Thank you. Thank you for seeing him. For believing him. For being brave." Her eyes shone with tears. I begged for help. I called police, hired investigators, chased dead ends. Everyone said she was gone, but I knew a mother knows my baby was out there. "And you found him." "Miguel found himself," I said. "He never forgot you. He kept Dumbo all this time. He's incredibly strong. He gets that from his Vovo." Carolina smiled through tears. "My mother died before Miguel was taken. That's when I was vulnerable. That's when that woman saw her chance. But Miguel kept Vovo's elephant, kept that connection alive." The trial took a year. Claire was convicted on all counts. 3 kidnappings, Miguel and 2 other children whose remains were found. Child abuse, fraud. The surveillance footage she'd installed to control ended up documenting her crimes perfectly. She got life, without parole. Richard got 25 years. Shaw got 20. 3 years later, I was at Miguel's 8th birthday party. Carolina had built a new life filled with family and laughter and the chaos of genuine love. Miguel was taller now, his smile easier. He was in therapy but also just a regular kid obsessed with soccer. Best friends with neighborhood children, constantly covered in grass stains and joy. "Kristen." He ran to hug me. "You came, of course. Look." He pointed to his room where Dumbo sat on a shelf of honor next to soccer trophies. "Me fixed him. She says Vovo would be proud I kept him safe." The party was loud and messy and perfect. Everything Claire would have hated, everything a birthday should be. Later, Carolina and I sat on the porch watching Miguel play. "He still has nightmares sometimes," she said quietly. "Still flinches at locked doors. But he's healing. We both are. I'm glad you changed our lives. You could have looked away, but you didn't." She squeezed my hand. "You chose to see. That made all the difference." 5 years later, I was finishing my master's in social work, specializing in trauma recovery. My thesis examined surveillance technology weaponized for control and how systems fail vulnerable children. On Defense Day, 2 faces were in the audience, Carolina and Miguel, now 11. After I presented explaining how cameras meant to protect can become tools of abuse, discussing patterns of parental abductors, demonstrating how every system failed to see Claire's crimes, they stood and applauded first. Later, Miguel pulled me aside. "I want to do what you're doing," he said. "Help kids like me. Kids who are trapped and need someone to believe them. You'll be great at it." Officer Santos says I helped change how police respond to reports about kids in danger. They have training now about how kidnappers aren't always strangers, how cameras might be for control, not security. His expression turned serious. "It's because of you. You taught them to look closer, to believe kids, to not give up because someone seems normal." He hugged me. "Thank you for seeing me when I was invisible." 10 years later, I directed a nonprofit supporting children in coercive environments. We'd passed legislation requiring transparency around in-home surveillance of minors, trained thousands of childcare workers to recognize abuse disguised as discipline, created a database to track suspected familial abductions. Miguel was 17, applying to colleges, planning to study criminal justice. His essay described being stolen and found, about the power of one person choosing to act. He sent me a copy. I was 2 when I was kidnapped, 5 when I was rescued. For 3 years, I lived in a house that looked perfect but felt like a cage. For 3 years, I was watched but never seen. But I never completely forgot. And when someone finally looked close enough, believed bravely enough, they saw past perfection to truth underneath. My name is Miguel Santos. I am a survivor. I am proof that one person paying attention can change everything. He got a full scholarship, We celebrated over dinner at Carolina's house, puzzle and laughter, and Miguel telling stories about his plans. To people who never gave up, Miguel said, raising his glass. To Vovo, I never forgot. He touched Dumbo beside him. To the friend who made one call that saved my life. And to Kristen who saw me. I watched this young man who'd survived the unspeakable, who'd kept his name in his heart, who'd held on to a stuffed elephant as proof of his past, who'd been brave at 5 to tell his truth. The cameras meant to erase him had preserved evidence of his survival. The system meant to break him had been broken by his truth. Later, Miguel asked, "Do you ever think about how different things would be if you'd looked away?" "Every day," I said honestly. "I'm glad you didn't." He smiled. "Because looking away is easy. Seeing is hard. But it's the only thing that matters." We sat watching fireflies emerge, their small lights proving that even in darkness, there are things that shine. Miguel had survived, fought, won, and somewhere, I hoped, his Vovo knew her grandson was finally home.